A Merry Christmas to all of you. I wish you the best Christmas ever. And I know that in your hearts, you send me the same message of love. Let us specially concentrate on Christ and His love today. There are two aspects of Christ: Christ the man and Christ the Spirit in the man. Worshipping Christ in spirit is much more important than observing His birth materially and socially. Christ must be born within us in spirit. He must be born anew in our consciousness. That is the second coming of Christ. Where is Jesus now, and what is He doing? Extracts from lectures by Paramahansa Yogananda, December 19th, 1943. It is an injustice to Christ to celebrate His birth only with feasting and presents. This is all right, but the lack of deep, devoted communion with the Spirit of Christ at Christmas time is a serious omission in Christian practice. This is why, once more, I am reminding you to observe the spiritual Christmas on the 24th of December by meditating many hours that day, and then have your social Christmas on the 25th. I'm very happy that this message, to honor Christ's birth spiritually by long, deep meditation on Him, has been received and followed by so many truth seekers around the world. And it will be received by millions after I am gone. Jesus said, "The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few." The blessings of the presence of God and Christ are there for those who will make the effort to commune with them in deep meditation. If you follow the meditation techniques as given by Self-Realization Fellowship, you will know more about Christ than the millions of churchgoers who worship Him in sermons and external rituals, but don't take the time to meditate deeply upon Him. This self-realization movement was sent to the world to awaken the real spirit of Christ within you. Wherever you are, pledge yourself to celebrate first the spiritual Christmas and then the social holiday. These two you must always observe, for then you will see what a greater awakening will come. By striving to commune with God, Christ, and the great ones at Christmas time, you will prepare yourself for the way you are going to spend the new year that is shortly to come. It is a wonderful way to enter a new year. By greater spiritual effort every day, you must redeem yourself by yourself. No one else can do it for you. How liberated masters watch over the world. Perhaps you have wondered sometimes if great souls such as Jesus are lost to the world. Not at all. See how busy God is. He is always in His own ecstasy, yet He is busy running this universe. And all the saints and masters who have left this earth are also busy elsewhere, just as every one of them had something to do when here. The first time Lahiri Mahasaya called Babaji to materialize himself to satisfy some doubting friends, Babaji didn't like it. "Do you call me for a trifle?" he asked. "I'm very busy." When a liberated master says that, he means he is busy with God, doing God's will. The great ones are all active. It is the mission of some to try to strengthen the good in this world. And to the extent that they are able to do so through receptive minds, the devil's power weakens and God's power becomes stronger. When a great saint is resurrected in spirit, and yet takes a form in responding to sincere, receptive devotees, it means he has some part to play in the world's destiny. I know that Christ, in flesh and blood, is in communion with Babaji in India. Together, they are watching over the destiny of the world. They tried very hard to avert this world war. They and all the other resurrected masters have a mission to perform. Who puts the powerful thoughts of peace in the minds of some souls? It is Christ and the great ones, for they are suffering very much in this war. They are not by any means happy with the state of this world. They are trying to establish peace and harmony on earth and raise it to a higher spiritual level. But they can't if man doesn't let them. God is almighty. He could stop the war tomorrow, but if he did, he would be a dictator. I used to wonder why he and the great saints didn't prevent this war. The answer is that they would have had to use miracles to do so. And God is so great, he will not impose his will on us, nor does he punish or take revenge on us. He wants to convert his children, not by force, but by persuasion and love. War is made by man, not God, and it is meant to teach us a lesson, the lesson of our innate godliness. But what a terrible way to learn this truth. God knows that we will never be destroyed, for we are immortal souls. But the lesson will never be learned by us unless we suffer. And is not God suffering also? Do you think he doesn't want us to be happy? He permits us to suffer from evil ways, only that we might learn that the path to follow is the way of the good. Christ has not gone. He is watching you. If you want to know Christ as he was on earth, and as he appeared to saints through the ages, you must live his life. Whenever it is necessary, he does appear to his devotees. And if you are in tune with him and live in your daily life even a little part of what I am telling you, you shall know him. Christ has not gone. He has given his philosophy, and he is watching those souls who are practicing it. You must live the ideals of Christ, and know that He is watching you all the time. Why don't you see Christ or hear His voice? Because your physical eyes and ears are not attuned. You cannot see even television images or hear songs passing through the ether of this material world without the aid of television screens and radios. The static of spiritual restlessness keeps you from perceiving the still finer vibrations, which are highly delicate forces. That is why you do not see Christ and the great ones until you learn how to tune in with them. Christ is right here. He can be seen if you look within your forehead at the point between the eyebrows, the center of Christ's consciousness, the seat of the single or spiritual eye. If you want to see Christ, concentrate at this point of spiritual vision. Look through the spiritual eye. If you want to receive His universal intelligence, you have to feel His consciousness in the spiritual eye. After death, Jesus resurrected His body and allowed hundreds of people to see Him. To the doubting Thomas, He said, "It is I, touch me." Why did He materialize His body? That others might behold Him after resurrection and know that all who are in tune can behold Him and know that He is. Saint Francis said, "I meet Christ every night in flesh and blood. You too can behold Him, just as I have seen Him many times." There is a way to invite Christ. He doesn't want praise, nor can He be bribed by wealth, by any sermon, or mock devotion. He will be drawn only to the altar of your love. If there is sufficient love and devotion in your heart, then and only then will He come to you. He may actually materialize in person. Christ-like behavior is difficult but rewarding. So remember that Christ is all the time working for you, and His throne is your spiritual eye. When you are in tune with Him, there at the center of Christ's consciousness, you can feel His presence and see Him sleeping on the bed of stars, dancing on the billows of your feelings, resting on the altar of your devotion. In every good thought is a secret home of Christ. That is where He is. But He will not come out of hiding so long as you have Satan with you, so long as you don't learn to love those who hate you and to live the other principles of Christ's life. When Christ came on earth, He was born in the Orient. It is said that when He reached the age of 15, His family sought to arrange a marriage for Him, as was the custom. But He chose to leave home and went to India and Tibet, where He passed 15 years with the masters. I have told you this before. You will recall that there were 3 wise men from the East who came to visit Jesus at His birth. He returned their visit during those years for which the Bible gives no record of His activities. Then He returned to Jerusalem to preach His message. But how few people appreciated Him. Only when he was gone did some realize what he was, and succeeding generations began to build churches in his honor. Still, how very few people throughout the centuries have really lived the life of Christ. That is why millions who think of themselves as Christians are not happy or spiritually satisfied. It is easy enough to learn about Christ and his teachings, but to practice what he taught is not so easy. I say it not from pride, but because I know I have lived the life of Christ in every way that it has been possible. So I can truthfully tell you that the life he taught is the only way to true happiness. Many people think that to live Christ-like is too difficult. It is hard indeed. It is also very difficult to become famous or wealthy, and great is your anguish when you find you can't fulfill your desire, even though you have made a great effort. But though you meet difficulty in trying to establish Christ principles in your life, if you persevere, there is ultimate reward. The permanent monument of Christ's love. Jesus was as perfect as man could be. And what did mankind give him? Instead of being appreciated, he was crucified. You find intolerable the little abuse you get from others. But think what Christ suffered for giving love. Of all the miracles he performed, the greatest was when he said from the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." To that great Christ we give our tribute today. To him who has established in our hearts a permanent monument of love. That same thing we must say during this wartime. Forgive them, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Blinded by ignorance, they are murdering each other. They had no hate for those they now call enemies. Politicians led them to fight and kill one another. What will be the gain? The final result must be that man will understand that war does not pay. That is all. War will never solve any problems. Bombs will not settle disputes. Love alone disarms the enemy. Would any power on earth make me take a gun and shoot someone? No, I would not handle a gun for anyone. We must remember the permanent monument Christ has left within us in his counsel. Love one another. For we are all sons of the one God. That is what we have to learn. And universal Christ love will become stronger than ever when the nations of the earth see their folly. No politician or monarch will ever be worshipped as Christ is worshipped, because their rule is based on narrow interest or greed or hatred. It is the universal eternal principles that Christ and the great ones have lived that will change the narrow rules of politics. Humanity has gone mad because the example of Christ's life has been scorned or forgotten. He will not impose himself physically. We have to accept him spiritually. Then alone will he bless us. From my Indian guru, I learned the real meaning of Christ's teachings. Live the ideals of Christ. It was from my guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar, in his ashram in India, that I learned about Christ and the real meaning of his teaching, and I never forgot it. I have been able to win in life because I applied those timeless principles. In the ashram, there was a younger boy named Kumar, who had come as a disciple shortly after I did. I thought he was Master's favorite, because he was rather quick and intelligent, and I was more slow in my ways. It was apparent that he wanted my position as the one in charge of the ashram. Guruji assigned him to my place and gave me lesser duties. Everyone complained to me, charging that Master had done me an injustice. But instead of taking their side, I took Master's side. I told them, my relationship with Guruji is not conditioned by my title or what work I do. I have pledged to him my obedience. I didn't come here for praise or position. I came to humble my pride. In the valley of humbleness, the waters of God's mercy gather. Those who flatter you usually have a selfish objective. Never bribe or allow yourself to be bribed with flattery. Everything that happens to us is a test of God to see how we behave. And this was my first test in my Guru's ashram. I wouldn't be Yogananda today if I hadn't passed those tests with Master. I said to the devotees, Master is right. I don't know why he has made this decision, but I know that if I were to feel hurt or resentful, I would be wrong. So what happened? One day, when I was busy with work assigned to me, Kumar went to Master to complain about me and said, you put me in charge, but everybody goes to him. Master replied, that is what I wanted you to learn. You coveted his position. He never wanted it. They all go to him because he is naturally suited for it. And why did you ask Yogananda to clean your shoes? Which he did? When he was the leader, did he ever ask you to wipe his shoes? I learned a great lesson from that experience. I had been tested, and in that test I had won. I did not follow Kumar's ways of pettiness. I not only said, Father, forgive him, but I learned to love him. And later he followed me. That is the way of Christ. Love those who abuse you. Jesus said that if anyone smites you, turn the other cheek, give him love. It is a very difficult philosophy, but I have lived that life and I know it is the only one that works. The way to practice Christ's philosophy is to begin with your family. Right in your own home, he is watching whether you are following his ideals or the tenets of evil. In family life, the test of spiritual existence is to remain always calm and understanding. If someone wants to fight, remain quiet. Can anyone keep up an argument if you don't talk back? If you are married and your spouse goes wrong, love him all the more. Pour kindness and love on the wrongdoer. If your love is not understood, your loved one may leave you. But to the last day of life, he will remember that he is the one who wronged you. It is better to live in the hearts of those you love as the one who loved them unconditionally than to live in their memory as the one who was hateful. It is natural to love others who love you and are kind to you. But Jesus said to give love even to those who abuse you. I have lived that philosophy. I have learned to love people in spite of their behavior. For those who fail this test, it is their doom. The fault lies with self, not with others. No matter how perfect you try to make a place, you will see that there will always be somebody coming to interfere. That is the law of this world. How many have tried to shake me and disrupt the harmony of my work, but have not been able to do so? Why? Because I follow the laws of Christ. No one can hurt me if I do not wish to be hurt. Jesus had the power to destroy his enemies. I have that power too. I could hurt others with just a thought, but I have never done it. I have never used that power for revenge. As you travel the spiritual path, your will becomes fiery. God gives his devotees great power as they grow. He doesn't give it to everyone because people would destroy one another. But as one advances spiritually, his power increases. If he is tempted to use it to hurt others, however, he will destroy himself. The misuse of his power will be his end. Jesus said, "If I would, I could borrow 12 legions of angels from my Father." But what did he do instead? He observed quietness. He didn't even try to defend himself. That is the divine way to overcome your enemies. If in a spiritual organization you are mistreated, give love. I have lived that. Remain quiet, for as soon as you help the wrongdoer with one word of quarrel, you have soiled your own thoughts, you have failed in your own ideals. When there is a fight, at least two parties are involved. So there can be no fight with you if you refuse to participate. The only way to conquer your enemy is to follow the example of Christ's love. God has given the power to destroy us in an instant, but he does not do so. Even though we give him plenty of cause, he gives love for hate. And he expects us to follow that example. Each one of us must live that life. No one can quarrel with me. That is the way I have conquered. If you want to know Christ, you have to be victorious in every test, to conquer the ego self even in little things. How a quarrelsome man was changed. In New York, there was a Hindu writer who couldn't stand anyone else. He was always fighting with somebody. One day, he became quarrelsome with me. He started by arguing with my friends and then burst through the door into my room and began insulting me. "How is business?" he asked, implying that I must be getting a lot of money from my lectures and classes. It is not the money itself that is good or bad, but the use of it that makes it right or wrong. You can use it for good or for evil. Everything that has come to me, I have given to God's work. As this writer continued to insult me in the grossest terms, my friends were giving me looks that meant, "If you just say the word, we will usher him out the door." I was worrying that they might lose their self-control and throw him out. So when he made further accusations, I started answering, "Maybe you are right. I didn't say that he was right merely. Maybe you are right." After some time, I asked my friends to leave the room. The writer slumped back on his chair and said, "For the first time, I have been overcome." "Don't think I'm going to give it to you," I replied. "Tell me, why is it that an intelligent man like you behaves in this way?" "You are only advertising your bad behavior and showing what kind of person you are. I was concerned only for you, that my friends didn't harm you." "You are right," he answered. "Tell me more." So I said, "You know, vultures soar high in the sky, but their whole mind is on the carrion on the ground below. They wait their chance, then swoop down to pick at the dead meat. That is the way you behave. Wherever people are gossiping and fighting, there you love to go and pick at the bones. You are known everywhere for your bad behavior." "What should I do?" he asked. I answered, "Wherever there is gossip or quarreling, leave at once. Don't contribute to the fight. If someone insults you or calls you a devil, that doesn't make you one. He who calls you a devil is being used by the devil. The best thing under such circumstances is to remain quiet. If you refuse to fight, then who can fight with you? And even if such a person goes a step further and slaps you, and you do not respond, that slap will burn in his palm throughout his life. But if you fight back, he will only want to strike you 12 times harder." If you associate with skunks, you cannot smell the roses. Evil people don't want to change their ways. The best policy is to stay away from them. There is more goodness than evil in the world, and there are more good people than evil ones. But if you associate with skunks, you cannot smell the roses. It only seems that evil is greater than good, because evil is hard to forget. If someone hurts you deeply, you remember it. But instead of concentrating on that, you should think of all the good things about the person who has hurt you, and all of the goodness that you have in your life. Don't take notice of the insults people give you, and never let anything bring you to a decision to fight, nor give anyone the opportunity to fight with you. If you do, you are a party to it. Numerous are the scars I bear for doing good, and if they mattered, I wouldn't be here. I would be in the Himalayas. But such scars are worthwhile, for they help you to grow spiritually. Only those who live the life of Christ and meet his tests find him. To them, Christ comes. He would never have come to me if I had indulged in pride or anger, or if I had slapped back when others treated me unjustly. People will treat you unjustly. That is the way of this world. This earth is not a perfect place. Consider the mosquito. You would think it would be satisfied with drinking your blood, but no. It also injects a little poison into your system, and sometimes carries germs that cause disease and even death. Some human beings are also like that. Greater than the wounds of battle are wounds to your soul. I used to have a terrible temper when I was a boy. But one day, I said to myself, if you want to do good on earth, you must not lose your temper. I promised myself that I would destroy that enemy of my soul. and to this day I have never hurt anyone out of anger or spite. Greater than the wounds of battle are wounds to your soul. Let not your soul be wounded by anger and hate. Though it is terrible to see people maimed and killed in this war, there is consolation that on one side they know they are immortal souls, only their bodies have been hurt. The scars of the body perish with the body, but wounds to the soul on the spiritual battlefield are terrible. They are more deadly in their torture. Those who lose the battle of life by succumbing to hatred and meanness will lose themselves. Those scars remain on the soul. They will go with you beyond the grave and last for incarnations. If you are an angry or hateful person, who knows? You may come again on earth for many incarnations, hurting people and being hurt by them. Wrath and hatred accomplish nothing. Love rewards. You may cow down someone, but once that person has risen again, he will try to destroy you. Then how have you conquered him? You have not. The only way to conquer is by love. And where you cannot conquer, just be silent or get away and pray for him. That is the way you must love. You will have peace beyond understanding, and then you will know what Christ is. Why shouldn't you be victorious in this way? Conquer dark qualities that cause great suffering and wound the soul. Get rid of them. Pulverize them. These enemies I have destroyed, and now I am free. So must you destroy them. Don't soil your soul with those who are mischief makers. Remember this: don't soil your soul by mixing with those who are mischief makers. Bless them, give them love, and learn not to let them draw you down to their level. Refuse to be insulted by anyone. Just remain quiet. God could speak and shake the world, but he didn't, because to do so would be to use force to make us behave. He has given us freedom to act rightly or wrongly, and he is silently waiting for us to change our wrong behavior. That is the way of all those who love God. They suffer silently. If anyone causes them suffering, they say, "All right, if you feel happiness in hurting me, go on." It is a marvelous idea. I never had such joy in my life as through this philosophy. Similarly, whenever you are hurt, remain silent, and inside, don't feel hatred or anger. If someone speaks to you in a hurtful language, remain quiet, or say, "I am sorry if I have done something to offend you," and then remain silent. What can that person do then? I have practiced these things in my life. Nobody can make me fight, even if he slaps me. I would go down on my knees and ask pardon. How can such a person fight you if you don't want to fight? He who believes in Christ should not retaliate when someone is trying to get his goat. The example of Christ is that we are here to love one another. We must never retaliate. You have no idea what strength comes from such self-control and love. You behold humanity as little children. They don't know what they're doing. If you would come to me, live the life of Christ. Whoever would come to me must come only in that spirit of harmony and love. Those who are in tune with me, as some souls have been from the beginning, have never had a crossword with me. Mrs. R is one of these. Many have trod on her with unkind speech, but I have never seen her cold or angry. And never have I seen her without a smile. As a result, her seat is reserved in heaven. That is the kind of example I live. And all those who come to me, I want them to live the life of Christ. If I can save one soul out of this crowd, I have done something much more valuable than the converting of thousands of people. I am speaking to your souls. I know many of you who come here will be saved through the words I have spoken here. But you must practice these ideals in your life. You must live more by the Christ principles instead of just talking about them. When you live Christ's example, you will be able to see Him. He is like a fragrance, all-pervading, but it is only through receptive souls that He works. If you call to Christ with all your heart, and if you have learned the lesson that you must never fail to live in humility and love, and to meditate deeply upon God, Christ will come to you. You can see Him in flesh and blood, even as He has come to Babaji, Saint Francis, and others who are in tune. Dear ones, this has been my Christmas message to you, that you might know where Christ is today and what He is doing and how you may know Him. Christ's love and harmony I send to you all this Christmas. Let no one rob you of your peace and love. And remember to set aside a day before Christmas every year in observance of the spiritual birth of Christ. I know millions of people will follow this path when I am gone, because it is the true teaching of Christ. Excerpts from the book The Divine Romance by Paramahansa Yogananda.